few years ago, I ran for school committee in Somerville, Massachusetts. Every day after work, I would come home, put on a fresh collared shirt, get my walk lists and my palm card, put them in a canvas bag, and head down my second story apartment to canvass the neighborhood and talk with voters at their door that I'd never met about what makes them tick. And I would arrive in somebody's yard, about to ring the doorbell, and look for clues, curiously scanning for things that would be a conversation starter. And this one woman, I met, her name was Agatha, and you would bet that, of course, she was a senior citizen, very sweet when she answered the door. And I noticed that she had a Mother Mary in the window to the right of her door. And this was an opportunity to ask her if she's from the neighborhood and if she goes to a church around here. And I found out that she had went to St. Clement's School growing up, which was a Catholic school. And did she know actually that my mother grew up Catholic, oldest of eight, went to Catholic school her whole life, and I have nearly 30 first cousins and families and Catholic families, these big values that I grew up with. She could tell were really important to me, and so were they to her as well. And we were able to establish this certain trust by just having one common connection, and that opened the floodgates to finding out everything that she wanted to say and share about the neighborhood, her hopes, her fears, the changes that were happening, including yuppies like myself that she called coming into the neighborhood, new faces, immigrants that she didn't know how to talk to. And I could tell very quickly that we probably had very different political backgrounds, and we got into that. But because of that trust that we had, that we were able to come out from behind our walls and find a common value, we were able to really establish something special, and we're able to kind of come together and build a shared vision, while maybe politically different, a shared vision with common hopes and dreams for our community. And this kind of connection is a category that I'm calling interpersonal discovery. And it's when we use in-person conversation to create trust that allows each person to share their views on the world and from their life experience. And so what I want to talk about today is why we don't connect anymore, and ways that we can overcome that broken connection and build something really great together and heal a lot of the political divide in our country. And the reason we don't often connect is an inability to find that trust that brings us together and puts our guard down with somebody new, with a stranger. Maybe it's someone you meet in an Uber or a taxi or sitting next to at an airport. And of course, anything can prevent this. It's not just that we don't know how, but of course, if you don't have enough sleep, or you're hungry, or it's a tough day, all of those things are very justified excuses why connecting with a stranger can be difficult. But I'm here to tell you that with certain practice tips and tricks that I've learned over the years that I want to share with you, it can become very doable, and the benefits are enormous. We can, be the change we wish to see, lead by example, connect through interpersonal discovery with others, and really heal the political pain in our country by coming together with a stranger and talking about our shared vision across political divides. So the first step is to set your mindset correctly. Intentionally choosing non-judgment to avoid confirmation bias by having your curious brain beat out your judging brain. So every time you meet a stranger, of course, there's assumptions that you assume, whether it's based on their clothing, the way they talk, and that's natural and fine. And what is really important to avoid with your mindset when you meet someone at the beginning is not to think about those in a judgmental way. Of course, it might be natural, but really instead to prioritize your curiosity, your questions about why they might think what they think, and kind of make it fun to discover who they are. And once your mindset is set, then building trust is the next step, step number two. And first, it really helps to demonstrate enthusiasm. Be the first to act, set the tone. When others are more likely to be able to predict how you're going to react to them, meaning you first demonstrate enthusiasm and a lack of judgment, they're going to feel safer, studies show, about opening up, knowing that you're there as an enthusiastic supporter, a curious individual. And that's really important. Um, and it makes you vulnerable to be enthusiastic and be that first person to act in that way. And it's a leap of faith, but it's essential for connecting with strangers. Next is to find a common value, and this is the most important. So when when you dive in with someone, you don't ask them, why do you believe this thing, or do you, and try to confirm things that may or may not be true. But instead, you try to get at certain values that you both might share. And the way that happens is to curiously ask questions. So with Agatha, I was able to connect about Catholicism and coming from big Catholic families. And that can be that way with anybody. If you're sitting in an airport or in an Uber, uh, you might notice certain things, and you can ask curious questions to then be able to participate and say, oh, actually, I have that same common identity trait in that area. And there's so many different ways to find that around family, around even foods that you like or places you visited. Um, and once that common value is established, then there's an opportunity to explore their reality. And um, and when you're exploring that reality, listening for those hopes, those fears, with that curious mind, almost in a childlike way, allows you both to break past the walls that are automatically set up between strangers. So once your mindset is set and you've already demonstrated the enthusiasm and found the common value, and you use your curious brain, you can really start to explore, and then together start to describe your hopes and dreams for our society, and get past the bifurcated political differences, and really just talk about the values that you want to see. Um, so, with connecting and with interpersonal discovery, every day we have opportunities that we currently miss, but there are opportunities to create relationships to bridge the personal and political divides that we really all want to overcome in our country. Connecting is like any other skill, and it must be practiced. The more you practice with strangers, the better you get and the more fun it becomes. It's really a positive feedback loop. Um, by removing the difficulty and the lack of fun that often comes with trying to bridge a political divide. Most people find it very tough or tense, but really using your curious brain to discover who the other person is and where they come from. Um, that positive feedback loop can create more and more opportunities for you to notice every day to interact with strangers. And the more you do it, of course, the more routine it becomes. And that's very special too, because then you'll start to think about it even less, and it'll just be a part of your daily routine um, to notice opportunities and be able to connect with someone in that way. So I want to end by encouraging everybody to lean into social courage, to connect with other people in this space of interpersonal discovery, to bridge the political divide, and ultimately make the world a better place and be the change you wish to see.